Hey everyone, welcome to 996 The Howl. For the uninitiated, this is an unedited YouTube vlog discussing everything Arizona Coyotes and what would you rather do on a sunny afternoon day than, stay inside and watch the Coyotes lose their fifth straight game in regulation against the Minnesota Wild. A rare afternoon game, maybe you're working from home, maybe you're at work, you're listening to the game, you're watching the game. But it seems that the game really took a turn after the Minnesota Wild scored that second goal. I just feel like the Coyotes had a good first period, good first half of the second, and then that goal just deflated them, took the wind out of their sails, and Minnesota just continued even in the third to put on the pressure. And I mentioned in my 40-game progress report video that Minnesota has the worst possession numbers in the West Division. However, they generate one of the most high-danger chances and convert on most of their chances that they have. And that was, exactly what we saw this afternoon. The Minnesota didn't really dominate in the offensive zones too much. It was a lot of back and forth. But once the Minnesota, caught wind or got a sniff of blood or a smell of blood, they capitalized on it. The Coyotes were really tired on the back check. A lot of defensive lapses on the first goal, on the penalty kill. Chychrun and Pitlick going after one player, and then that caused a 2-on-1. And then on the second goal, I believe Bunting and Lyubushkin went after the same player, and the other Parise was left wide open. Tyson Nash blamed Nick Schmaltz for that goal, but Nick Schmaltz was barely into the screen by the time that goal happened. When you have the first winger back needs to sort of act like your centerman and get the open opposing player, which Michael Bunting was the first one into the zone, so that was his assignment. Just a delay goal by Benino, again making it 3-1. It's a back killer. Those late goals, even the first goal Minnesota scored was under 5 minutes left in the first period. When you come up into the third period down 3-1, you got to have some juice left to get some goals. And Minnesota Wild instead got their fair share of goals, scoring twice early, and that kind of shut the game down. Antti Raanta back playing out of nowhere. I didn't even know he was ready to play until about a couple hours before game time. I thought Adin Hill probably should have played. I mean, the Coyotes haven't had much practice time over the past week or so. They had 3 games and 4 nights before this Minnesota game, and then this Minnesota game was bumped up to the afternoon from nighttime. So Adin Hill's seen a lot of action. I would have just went with Hill to close out the game. Obviously, in hindsight, it makes more sense to play Hill. Just feel that Antti Raanta needed more reps. They have a couple days off before their game Saturday against St. Louis. So I would have rather Raanta got some practices before that St. Louis game and then start Saturday against St. Louis. Don't know why Adin Hill didn't play. Antti Raanta didn't even look confident in net, giving up a lot of rebounds. He looked shaky, he looked very unconfident and uncharacteristic that we all know Antti Raanta should be. He wasn't up to his own standards. Not to say the game was his fault, but he just didn't look right and didn't give the team much confidence on the back end there. Really not much else to say. Honestly, the Coyotes are like the only team to go on a 3-game winning streak, to win 8 out of their last 10 games, and then immediately drop 5 straight games in regulation. It still doesn't get easier. You got St. Louis on Saturday and then Minnesota again Monday and Wednesday. The Coyotes have only won 1 game against Minnesota in about 5 games. I think they've played each other, and Minnesota has their number. So it's going to be another rough 3 games until they face California teams. And it's very strange how, management and Rick Tocchet think the Coyotes deserve to be where they are. Oh, they're 1 point of a playoff spot. They're in the mix for a playoff conversation, but it's like no one's really saying they're only there because the St. Louis Blues dropped 6 straight and the Coyotes only win against California teams. And against St. Louis, they're 3-3-1 against St. Louis, which is their only other good record other than a California team. Against Vegas, Colorado, and Minnesota, they're just embarrassed and have terrible outings in all those games. So, not selling at the deadline may come back to bite them in the behind, but I know it's a tricky spot to be in. You can't really derail your team with about 10 to 12 games left in this season. It would really take a win out of their sails. There's still a chance to get in the playoffs, but really at what cost? And if Antti Raanta was healthy enough to play this afternoon, why didn't they make a trade for him? Other news came out that Kemper had a setback in his injury, so he'll miss another couple games. Maybe that's why they decided to hang on to Antti Raanta, because Kemper won't be back for a little while now again. So they needed another competent goalie, and they couldn't go the rest of the way with Prosvetov and Hill. They needed to have one of Raanta and Kemper in rotation, so maybe that's why they decided to hold on to Antti Raanta. But yeah, it's been a miserable week. And I told you guys it'd be a hard week to watch, and it has been. So hopefully, again, this is the Coyotes bottoming out, and they find their ways out of this hole they've dug themselves out of, and just play good competitive hockey. They played a good period and a half against Minnesota, but they could have played a lot better, emptied out the tank. I mentioned last week, I hope they didn't play this game just going through the motions and longing for that plane ride home. And just, you have an assignment, you have a job, just go out and execute. And they did for a period and a half, but their tired legs got to them, a lot of defensive lapses, and they just couldn't compete with such a good team in the Minnesota Wild. So that's it for me. It's going to be a 2-day break until their next game. Enjoy the couple of days off, and thank you for your support.